what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe. So a fantastic weekend for this LSU women's team, adding a first ever national championship, something that has eluded the Tigers for far too long. But Jake, it's a second Monday in a row where you come in and give thanks because everybody won. I don't know what's in the water right now. Louisiana sports, so hot right now. Okay, LSU baseball, get the hell out of here, Tennessee. STTDB. We already told you. Okay, you got lucky to win the third. Who gives a damn? You lost the series, okay? LSU gymnastics, in a year in which they have been brutalized by injuries, right? I mean, so many setbacks, so many chances to have excuses. Yet, what did they do? Haley Bryant comes up with a clutch floor routine to force a tiebreaker against Michigan, which they win, which advances them to the Elite Eight, or really to the semifinals, right? The Pelicans beat the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard scored 40. Didn't matter. Brandon Ingram, too damn good, Jake. Pelicans beat the Clippers, and they have now won 7 of 8. They are closing in on the 5th seed, potentially. They've got a little bit of a gap with the teams beneath them, so the Pelicans continue to play excellent. Softball goes 5-0 over the weekend. They have the Purple and Gold Classic, playing BYU, NC State, Louisiana Tech. Nobody could keep up. LSU tracks at the Texas Relays. They set a couple new records, including a couple new school records. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Basically, any team you cheer for had a successful weekend. So shout out to this week and give thanks. But obviously, the headline are the national champions. This LSU women's Tiger basketball team just continues to defy all expectation at every turn. Huge congrats to the Tigers, bringing home a natty.
T, I'm glad that you mentioned Friday's game because obviously you can't get to last night's celebration after the game unless you get to that point. And being down like they were, outscoring Virginia Tech 29-13 in the fourth quarter, I mean, that was a fun game to watch. I think we were all probably at a youth sporting event, all watching it on our phones because I was at Traction. I think every single person had their phone out watching the women's game against Virginia Tech. But to fight through that, to be down 9 in the fourth quarter, coming out of half, they obviously were the aggressor, but you found a way. You didn't panic. You came back, and you won that one, obviously, to get to a championship game scenario. And I tweeted this out yesterday. All the headlines were, because if you're watching even the SEC network, all the headlines were South Carolina loses their perfect season and Caitlin Clark's the best thing we've ever seen.
Yep.
Now, both of those things might be true, right? And they deserve to be headlines. But I was sitting there watching it, and obviously, look, I'm an LSU guy, and so, like, I kind of look for these things. I'm like, and my mom was sitting there watching it with me, and Katie, I'm like, are they going to talk about LSU, like, playing in this game? But it was about South Carolina. It was about Caitlin Clark, and, like, that's kind of how this team was treated all season long.
Yep.
And we'll get to the other stuff because I've got some thoughts I want to get to about when you've been told that you're not A, B, and C, and then you show everybody your every letter in the alphabet, like how that makes you feel. But LSU was that team, T-Bob, that no matter who they had, no matter who they beat, no matter what the record was. Remember, they went from top 5 all the way down to number 9, losing to a good Tennessee team in the SEC tournament. This was a team that was told they would not be in this position. And every single game they went out there, they found a way, and then saving maybe the best for last, scoring over 100 points in a national championship game against an Iowa team that was as hot as anybody, had the hottest player. But you stepped up. Your bench stepped up when they absolutely had to. This team was not going to be denied.
So that's to me the wildest part about this, right? And it really reflects on the roster building of Coach Mulkey, the amount of buy-in that you have on this team from top to bottom. But you won this national championship game, and really this entire tournament, Jake. You won it as a team, right? Like in the national championship game specifically. Your best players in Angel Reese and Alexis Morris, they have to sit for the majority of the first half due to a couple early foul calls. And yet, despite that, you were able to grow and extend your lead throughout because everybody was stepping up. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about Jasmine Carson and her just unreal lights out first half. But yeah, last year, Poa hit a couple big threes. I think Poole hit a couple as well.
Poa also got Caitlin Clark into foul trouble.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, so even in this championship game alone, you have your best players out, the bench steps up, they make it happen, and then Alexis Morris ends up taking over the second half. But within this game alone, you saw two vastly different styles to winning this game, right? One that involved a ton of outside shooting, and then one where you come back the next half, and it's a lot of offensive rebound, banging around, paint, a lot of mid-range type of action, right? But extend it into the entire tournament, Jake, and look at the amorphous blob that this LSU team was. The team that just set the record for the most points in the national championship won 2 games in this tournament where they shot 35% from the field.
Yep.
Think about that. How'd they win it? With elite defense and elite rebounding, right? So, like, this is an LSU team that is constructed as such, that had such a belief in themselves that they could take on whatever form they had to. Bruce Lee always talks about, be like water, right? Water takes the shape of whatever container it's in. That was this LSU basketball team. They were water, and they could adopt to whatever you were going to throw at them. They made it very clear that Caitlin Clark's viral moment from the South Carolina game, when she waved off the girl at the three-point line saying, "You ain't going to shoot." LSU said, okay, you ain't going to play us like that because we will shoot, and we're going to make you pay. Even though, oddly enough, it's something that we've never really done the entire year. Like, you almost have to feel for Iowa from a game planning perspective, because there is no possible way that they had expected to have to account for LSU going 9 of 12 from three in the first half. But that's the no fear that Coach Mulkey, I think instills into her players. And it was, look, Danny, in the middle of the 7:15 notes, there's a Twitter link from Ole Miss coach Gillette McQuinn where she's talking about Coach Mulkey and how she unlocks this team. Let me know we have that ready to go with volume, because I don't know that I've heard a better or more informed breakdown than you could really see it on the court. But again, the wild way in which this team could win in so many different ways speaks, it speaks to a lot of things. It speaks to leadership from the players. It speaks to the buy-in from the players, knowing that, look, today may not be your day, but you're still going to be counted on tomorrow. And it speaks to the makeup of the team, the creation of this roster. And really, I mean, if you really want to extend it, Jake, even to the power of NIL and the transfer portal, right? If you have the right coach, just how quickly you can make things come together.
We'll certainly talk about that. I mean, in only 2 years, the fact that you're national champions, and Coach Mulkey's introductory press conference when she's talking about the banners, I mean, how well does that play out here today? As she said, look, we got to change that into national championship. And you've had some of the greatest to ever play basketball play for your school, and you couldn't get over that hump. You couldn't even get to a national championship game. And so to unlock that is truly remarkable. And you need to remember, too, like, LSU was one of the top 5 offensive basketball teams in the country. They were third with 84 points per game. So they were not shooting the ball well in this tournament. That's the obvious statement. They were finding ways to win, but you heard them say, just wait till our shots start to fall. If that happens, we're going to be dangerous, because we're finding ways. We're shooting awful, and we're finding ways to win these basketball games against really good teams. So they started to fall. And I don't think they had them falling at that rate.
They saved them up.
But they were falling at the highest rate maybe that we've ever seen. I mean, what a pure shooting performance. But again, they were third nationally in offense during this year. They were also third in rebounds, and that was the story of this game. Because Iowa's a team that can rebound the basketball. They did it against South Carolina, who's the top rebounding team in the country to some extent, because nobody was really getting any rebounds on South Carolina, but they were. LSU won that 37-26, 14 offensive rebounds.
Angel Reese is a dog on them offensive boards. I mean, one of my favorite things, it's a bit like watching, when we talk about watching football and how to watch, Jake, I feel very passionately about when the ball is snapped, watch the line play until the ball leaves the pocket, right? Then you can watch a person with the ball. There's nothing interesting about watching the quarterback just drop back, because you don't even know what footwork, like, you don't really care. In the same way, when a 3 is jacked up or something like that, the temptation is to watch the ball sail through the air. And I get that, right? But if you watched Angel Reese, every time a shot went up from LSU, if you watched her box out and bang on those boards, that was the real show. I mean, you just saw a fist fight underneath the basket with Angel Reese straight up bullying Iowa to grab those offensive boards. And it's what she's done all year long. And it was fantastic to watch once again. And what I love is that Look, Caitlin Clark was Caitlin Clark. She was awesome. Now, yes, foul trouble ended up playing a part, and I really hated the technical foul. I mean, it was a bit of a ref show at times, and that was
the beginning of the game. T-Bob was like, brutal. This is not about you.
Yeah,
this is about these stars that we have here on this court. I mean, gosh, in a national championship game, if you're going to go one way or the other, let them play more than calling it tight.
No, I agree. I guess the referees did not for whatever reason. Now, thankfully, it is a situation where it was bad for both teams, right? So it's not like either team can feel like both teams can feel frustrated, but I don't think any one team can sit there and say that they felt like they got cheated, right? Both teams' best players got into foul trouble. Both teams' best players had to play limited minutes relative to how many they wanted to play. And so it's all kind of even on the scales of justice, but yeah, but Caitlin Clark was awesome, even with the fouls, right? I mean, she came out there immediately and suddenly playing her, you felt what all these other tournament teams have felt, that this woman is a single source of perpetual energy that is nearly capable of lifting an entire team to a championship by herself. I mean, you certainly feel all of the Steph Curry vibes and everything. She feels just as I mean, she finished 9 of 18 for 3.
We use generational probably too much, and I'm talking to myself here. You'll say, yeah, generational talent. And sometimes it's like, no, she's a really good player.
Yeah.
She's generational.
Yeah, for sure.
There's not, I don't know that I've ever seen what she does. I mean,
well, to me, she's
her first shot of the game.
Yeah. I mean, to me, she's just truly, and it's something you're seeing more and more in the NBA and on all other levels, right? Like, she's just a child of this new era of basketball. Like, you never practiced dribbling behind your back into a step back 3 from, 8 feet beyond the arc because a coach would have never allowed it. Like, that would have gotten you benched for 100 years of basketball. And then ever since the Steph Curry or Warriors revolution, it's all kind of, so she is now someone who has grown up in that revolution, right, Jake? And so when she's out there practicing, she's given herself the green light to do those shots. The coaches are giving her the green light to do those shots, and it's obviously paying massive dividends. The amount of skill with which she plays is fantastic. And I do love it. It's a great foil to Angel Reese, right, whose work is a lot more dirty. It's wet work. It's like knife fights in tight quarters in a phone booth. And then you have Caitlin Clark out here being kind of the polar opposite, winning with range and finesse. And both are great, and both brought their teams to championships. However, LSU at the end of the day was just a more complete team, led by a person that has been there before in every single way, as a player, as an assistant, as a head coach, a gold medal winner. Coach Mulkey has one of the greatest winning resumes of any human being that you will ever see in your entire life. And so it should come as no surprise that even though, look, all of Scott Woodward's hires look great right now, the big 3, when you look at Mulkey, Jay Johnson got baseball ranked number 1, expectations higher than ever for football, but there's a reason why Mulkey's the first to cross that finish line, because she's the only one that's actually done it before. And now she's done it once again. And she breaks the curse of LSU in these Final Fours and brings home a national championship. Unreal, dude. It just, it should have been impossible to live up to the expectation that was placed upon her. And not only was it not impossible, she got it done in 2 years.
I think that's the
that doesn't make any sense.
That's the remarkable part. It's the 2 years because, I mean, look, she's just a winner like you just laid out there, T. I mean, she's done it 3 times before as a head coach, winning a national championship. And eventually you figure, okay, it's going to work out here. LSU is a place that has great resources. They have a desire to be good in women's basketball, all those things, right? But the fact that she did it in 2 years, and I realize you do now have the transfer portal and NIL, but you have to take advantage of the tools that you are
everybody
given.
has it.
Everyone has it. And she took advantage of it, took full advantage of it, put this roster together, 9 new players here, and the chemistry, it worked. And it worked all season long.
Yeah.
They lost 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I told the story the other day. Exactly. Bums. My 7-year-old, wait, this doesn't make sense. They're 31-2 or whatever it was. Like, why are they a 3 seed? I'm like, son, they just for some reason didn't respect LSU this year because they didn't.
Yeah,
they did not. I mean, that's why. That LSU. That's why that's the tag, because writers were like, LSU ahead of UConn. every time that they lost, it was like, told you so.
Yeah.
I told you so. And that's only twice,
Yeah,
but it was still like,
couple
I
times.
told you so, right? You lose by 20-plus to South Carolina. Oh, they're not in their league.
Soft non-conference.
And you lose to Tennessee, a team you already beat in the regular season, but you lose. And you were up 17. You shouldn't lose that game, but you did. You dropped from 3 to 9. Like, that just doesn't happen ever. So this team, again, time and time again, you're not there yet. This is not your time. Cute story, but you're not going to play with the big brands once we get to tournament time.
And, in the end, the Tigers take home the Natty. Ooh, it feels so good. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.